Previously on Dandies in Danger.
What exactly is our plan?
I guess it's to make sure we infuse what we have with the magic we have. I can give you a slight rundown of the church.
He has access to above grounds, and he has access to the first, second, and third levels.
Anything farther below is completely off limits to me and would be highly suspect if I were to try and go down there. And besides, it's locked.
If we can use some of these items, like to persuade somebody to lead us down to the dungeon, perhaps.
Your family actually has some standing with the bank, and I'm an accountant.
Does the church need investors?
We could have it that you were scheduled for a visit. We need to find somebody with the key that goes to the lower level. I think one day of reconnaissance isn't a bad idea. This is basically an angel heist. Well, this is gonna go great. Hi, my name is Elijah. My pronouns are he, him, and I play the voice of Zachary Wilkos.
Hello, I'm Cass. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm voicing Liam Bardsley.
Hi, I'm Chess. My pronouns are he, she, they, and I play the voice of Daniel Pritchard.
Hi, I'm Toast. My pronouns are she, they, and I play Adrian Edwards.
Alright, so to just recollect collectively, you guys have infused and are about to infuse even more vessels so that you have a collection of spells when you go in. Liam and Zachary, you are going in today, but Liam is going to come over first and bring his weapon and some vessels so that you can imprint the weapon, and then he can later summon the weapon while you guys are in the church just in case.
Real magical girl fashion.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And then today, Adrian will give a grocery list of all the supplies that they need to conduct these spells to Ollie. While waiting for your reconnaissance, Adrian and Daniel will be focusing on their intent and meditating and kind of finding their inner magic so that they can be of more use. So let's begin with Liam showing up at Zachary and Daniel's house.
For the enchanting of the sword, is there anything specifically...
So Liam is the one who's going to have to enchant the sword and perform the imprint. Sword.
Oh, shit.
Because Liam is the one who will have to summon it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So Zach can't do that for him, but he has to guide him through it.
Yeah, Zach can guide him.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys have access to harnessing the power within, so you can read the instructions, and Liam will have to be the one to do that.
Okay. You have the instructions.
I have the instructions.
Fantastic.
Liam looks a little bit different than how you've seen him before whenever he shows up to your house today.
Imposter.
Because he is... Imposter. Yes, I am playing... Today I am BM Wardsley.
Wardsley.
But no, he just looks a little bit different because the coat that he's wearing today is a navy blue, and the waistcoat that he has on is quite a reserved style. It's got a pale color with thin stripes on it. His top hat matches this. He's got on his overcoat. He looks businesslike whenever he shows up. He's a business boy today.
He's playing the part of the banker's son for real.
Exactly.
Less personality and more, like, professional.
Did he cut his hair?
Exactly.
No!
He does.
Absolutely not.
He does actually, whenever he goes out on the town, basically anytime, he actually tucks his ponytail into the inside of his overcoat. So if anybody were to pass him on the street, his auburn hair is not flipping around in the back. It's tucked into the coat, so he's less obtrusive that way.
Interesting.
So Liam shows up and he's a little bit nervous because he's walked all the way here with his rapier underneath his overcoat, trying to not look super fucking sketchy, just, traveling through the streets of
Walking around
London with a weapon. But
openly
he's got that...
brandishing.
He shows up and he's got the sapphire ring that is going to be used as the vessel for this.
Okay, so you have a sapphire ring. You also have a sapphire, pearl, and diamond brooch that you'll be infusing with mimicry later. And then you've got those cross cufflinks with diamonds. But the sapphire ring that you bought from Maggot will be the one to imprint and summon your weapon.
Exactly. So the ones, anything aside from the ring is stuff that he's brought from home. And he just happened to have some other sapphire stuff on hand. So we thought, why not match it?
Nice.
And he also brings a peridot brooch for Daniel so that Daniel can have another vessel to charge up.
Daniel doesn't have as many pieces of jewelry. Lots of glass jewelry because it's cheaper, but that was good of him to bring that for Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if Liam comes over and, like, Zachary answers the door and sees his much more toned down look, he gets it, so he doesn't really say anything, but he does sort of bring him in quickly and quietly and looks around on the street before sort of closing the door after him. And it's funny because it's not just because he's worried that, like, Liam was followed by anybody from the church. That's just usually what Zachary does because of his second sight, to make sure nothing out there is just kind of lingering and waiting around for him to go to work. He's had a couple things follow him before, but so he brings Liam in. And have you got everything you need?
Yes. Liam whips back the overcoat to show his sword. All right, so how do we start this?
Well, I'm not really going to be doing anything.
What? I have to do it.
Well, it will be following your command. It is something that will be uniquely yours.
Oh, all right.
So we'll have to work on your intention.
I see.
Not that you have a lack of it.
Well, I suppose we can refer to the harnessing the power within then. I assume that they can just pick that up and they can flip to the imprint weapon.
Yeah, it's in Zachary's... it's actually open already to the page and to the whatever. Zachary tosses a hand to the table. Do they have coffee tables back then? It's like
yes.
Okay, so this is normal, like, coffee table that's next to the couch. Lay your sword there. Lay what you want to enchant along with it there.
Liam has to hold it.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me read this aloud again.
I don't have the book in front of me.
Now let's see here. It says I have to imprint a magical version of a weapon to be summoned for later use. Be sure to have a worthy vessel and access to the physical weapon. Grasp the weapon in your hand and hold the vessel in the other. Use your intention to pull the essence of the weapon into the vessel. Recite, I am a brook, my waters pull the spirit of this weapon into this vessel. Well, using specifics. None can resist my pull. Weapon, you are bound to this vessel in slumber, awaiting my command to awaken. Obey the command of thy master, sleep.
How's this Catholic boy feel about he is going to have to perform magic? Not Zachary, who is already a damned soul. But Liam will have to do it.
He's weighing in his mind his obligation to help the angel that has tasked them with helping free these other angels, but also completely uncertain of himself in this situation. Like, well, here we go, I guess.
You look incredibly nervous.
Well, I can honestly say I've never done anything like this before.
What do you think is going to happen? He's kind of smiling at him. He's sitting down and he's looking at him, and he's not being, like, mean-spirited about it. He's just kind of, like, interested.
Honestly, I'm afraid nothing will happen.
That is the worst case scenario if it makes you feel better. It's not as though demons are going to come flying out of some magic sigils in my house.
All right, then. Well, time's wasting, so we should get to it. Let me have this here.
Daniel comes in, he wants to watch.
I wish Adrian were here, but there's no reason to be.
Fair.
So he holds his rapier in one hand and the ring in the other. And he looks over his shoulder at Zachary.
Is there like a game mechanic for this? Is he gonna have to roll for anything, or?
No, I'll explain what it feels like, though.
Nice.
Okay, so he holds it and he's trying to figure out what intention means for him in this. And so he starts to think about the fencing lessons that he's had in the past. Starting from age 9, he's had 3 different instructors, just kind of trying to remember what it felt like to be an absolute beginner at something, like whenever he first picked one up. And so he takes a breath. I am a brook. My waters pull the spirit of this rapier into this ring. None can resist my pull. Rapier, you are bound to this ring in slumber, awaiting my command to awaken. Obey the command of thy master. Sleep.
Liam remembers some of his fencing training, how the sword is an extension of you. He holds the sword in that way, feeling that it is an extension of him. He feels a connection with that sword, and he feels a warmth, and he feels a slow trickle down the veins. I assume he's holding it in his right hand, down his wrist, down his right arm, into his elbow. But it seems to need a little encouragement.
You have to put a little more belief into what you're saying.
I am a brook. My waters pull the spirit of this rapier into this ring. None can resist my pull. Rapier, you are bound to this ring in slumber, awaiting my command to awaken. Obey the command of thy master. Sleep.
And with the imagery of a brook, Liam pictures water moving up his arm, and the flow of the energy seems to get a little easier. And when he says, "None can resist my pull," he means it, and he feels it. And he feels it go up his shoulder, and he feels it at the core in his heart. And he believes that he has power over this sword. He can feel that extension of him, the sword in him being one, move to his left shoulder and down his arm. He is more encouraged feeling this. And so then, towards the end of it, it flows very smoothly into the ring in his left hand. And then he feels the warmth start to fade entirely into that ring. And he feels almost like a vibration that you can't hear, like a very, very low note. He feels this ring is singing. He knows that he has been successful.
Zachary, look at this. Look, I've done it, Zachary. It worked. It went, I didn't think I'd be able to do it at first, but I felt something. It was a little bit strange, honestly, but I think it's in there now. I mean, we won't really know until I have to call it out again, but it actually worked.
He's smiling at him, and he nods, along with his excitement, and goes, Yes, I'm very impressed. And that was your first spell?
Yeah, yes, of course it was. That was the first time I've ever done anything of the sort.
It's not so scary, is it?
It was all right. Yeah.
You didn't die, did you?
Yes, I'm fine. Yes. Well, I have, these other items here that we'll have to enchant. Am I enchanting these ones as well?
Whatever ones you're going to use, you should enchant, just because I would encourage you to practice, seeing as how you're still going to need to draw the weapon out if we're in a dangerous situation.
I see.
Adrian makes his way, catches a carriage down to Zachary's house, and all four lads are at Zach's house because Adrian and Daniel are going to practice meditating together.
Yeah.
Just to check in on each other, hold each other accountable.
It's gonna be funny.
Yeah, you missed it. The Catholic did his first magic spell.
I missed it. Why did you do that before I got here?
Well, I didn't know when you were going to get here. It's rather early in the morning anyway.
You could have waited.
Well, it's
how
all
did
right.
it go?
Perhaps you'll be around whenever I take the sword out.
Wow.
That's his dream. Mutters Zachary.
Excuse me.
What?
Nothing.
Adrian looks at you.
Daniel blushes and
What?
looks away.
Don't worry about it. He says, and he's
Nothing.
putting on his things to get ready to go to work.
Well, both of you, be careful.
Yes.
Please. Adrian looking at Liam, begging him, just please be very careful. Run for your life if you have to.
Adrian, that's very kind of you, but I don't think there'll be much to worry about. I'm there on strictly business purposes. I don't plan on going around bludgeoning every character we walk into in the church.
I don't trust them, any of them, except for this man here. So please, be careful.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. Should we arrive separately, Zachary, or together?
He thinks about it a moment. Separately. Why don't you come in about 15 minutes after I clock in?
Very good. Should I, ask for accounting in general, or you specifically?
Ask for me specifically.
All right. Do we need to have any story about how I know your name? Perhaps you gave me your business card at some location?
Yes, that should work.
All right.
Liam, Adrian, he grabbed his arm. And he's like, Liam, I think you should take this with you. And he pulls out his lucky rabbit foot that he got.
Oh.
He takes his hand and he puts it in Liam's hands.
That doesn't have any real magic in it, does it?
I have no idea.
Great.
It's just... Get out of this moment, please.
Sorry.
Zachary.
Fucking move! He backs up and he folds his arm and he stands next to Daniel waiting.
Just take this with you. I know it's silly, but take this with you.
Thank you, Adrian. I'll take good care of it. And he's gonna tuck it into his waistcoat pocket, out of sight.
All right.
He taps it reassuringly and smiles at Adrian.
That's so sweet.
Right, I'm going to walk there. You should take a cab there, though. But be sure to show up 15 minutes after I've already arrived into work.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, goodbye. He says, and he just
Bye.
leaves.
Good luck.
Huh? He stops and looks at Adrian. What?
Good luck? I don't know. You just bloody left. Bye. Goodbye. Good luck. Don't fucking die. Good luck at work.
He keeps staring, and he's smiling because Adrian just keeps getting more flustered the more he stares at him. And then he just kind of gently leans against the door and he goes, anything else? Do I get a lucky rabbit's foot?
I only had the one.
And then he leaves.
Adrian just glares.
I'm so surprised. He is never this sassy or loose. Sorry.
All right.
Well, he's about to put like his entire life at risk.
I'm low-key
So-
wondering if he's like quietly disassociating. Like if this,
Zachary?
yeah,
Yeah.
if like this whole like new sort of like loose, I don't care what happens to me is like because he's like stressed.
Possibly.
He's just pretending he has it all together. All right. So anyway, he walks away. He's out. Sorry.
No, you're good.
All right.
Now he's outside. Now he's walking.
He's down the street a bit. They look out the window. They could probably see him.
Stripped a
Yeah,
bit.
they all. If he looks back at his house, there's three men poking like with the curtain pulled slightly. 3 men on top of each other.
He looks back and he sees this and he waves his arm like, stop it. And then he turns back around and turns the corner and leaves.
All right. We are going to follow Zachary
Oh,
for these 15 minutes.
okay.
Oh.
So, the Holy Church of the Eternal Knighthood, Zachary's place of work, has its own circular grounds surrounding it, bordered by buildings disguised as townhouses, but secretly under employment of the church. Zachary is accustomed to entering one of these buildings and exiting out the other side. These townhouses are disguised as places of residence, tea houses, and various mercantile establishments, but all serve the church's needs, and have for centuries, under wraps, until recently. Even with the church's hunters becoming more well-known due to the recent emergence of demonic forces, only those under employ of the church know that these shops are all a front. Entry into the church's grounds are not entirely restricted, however. The cathedral is sometimes open for services, but the gates are locked when not in service. There are many hidden sigils in the designs of the gates that are effective against spirits. These services, run to keep up the guise of a harmless religious institution, are also used to weed out and identify any human who has trouble entering the grounds. The gates are closed today, but Zachary knows they will be open tomorrow for Wednesday's evening mass. It's Tuesday today.
Poor chap never learned how to swim, eh?
Zachary can make his way to his favorite shop that he likes, his pretend shop. It is a real shop. It sells real things. There are tea shops and things, or coffee houses, not as popular as the tea houses. There are rug stores, that kind of thing, but everyone working there knows what's up.
It is fascinating to think that to the outside perspective of people who don't know that working of the church, that they would not assume that Zachary works at the church. They would assume because he's at that same shop every day, he's actually the accountant for that shop.
Yeah.
He walks into a cafe, I assume. That's one of the ones that are around. Yeah, he walks into that same cafe every single time. I imagine he likes the aroma of the freshly baked things that have been pulled out and the smell of tea and the slight smell of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And he nods to the person who's in the back. Morning, Alfred.
Oh, you're making up the story now.
Sorry. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. He just goes in and he goes to work.
Before he goes in, he sees a little crow alight itself on a sign. It behaves normally enough, but for some reason, he knows it is one of Fergus's crows, and he feels comforted by its presence.
Mm.
So he goes into this little cafe, and the energy is immediately different in the way that Zachary can sense it. So Zachary, being familiar with wards and things like that, knows that the circular shape of the grounds surrounding the cathedral are purposeful and that they're kind of like a protective circle. And he can feel that when he enters this little cafe, even now. There are 2 guards at the back exit who are there to check his ID as normal. He can get a drink and stuff. All the workers here are familiar with Zachary. They know why he's there. They all work for the church. This is part of how the church pulls in revenue as well, and also helps weed out people who have difficulty entering the establishment. So he spies 2 guards at the end of the room. He knows to present his identification to them, a card with the church's official seal stamped into a thick paper. All church employees have one. Since he comes here every day, these guards already know him, and he knows them. Not necessarily their names, but definitely their faces. Is Zachary carrying any magical items on him right now?
No, he's going into work itemless, as normal, except for the little locket he normally always wears.
Okay. Passing through one of the masks, awaiting Zachary's card.
Mm-hmm. He says, and he pulls out his identification and shows it.
They look it over and then pass it back to you pretty casually. They look away. They're done with you. So he's permitted to pass.
He walks past. This is his normal routine, so he's somewhat on autopilot.
Where does he wear his locket?
He wears it normally around his neck, completely underneath all of his clothing.
Then he is aware that every time he enters the church, it heats up a little bit.
He feels it.
So he makes his way out of this little cafe. He opens the door, and he is on cathedral grounds. The grounds are bright and benign in the morning light. Beautiful aspens, oaks, and rosewood welcome the visitor to a green, peaceful space. This is likely Zachary's favorite part of his daily work routine, gazing up through the branches and witnessing that life-giving spectacle that is the particular green of a leaf when illuminated by the sun behind it. This peace is short-lived, for sooner than he ever desires it, his steps take him to his place of work. The cathedral is a daunting sight, a gargantuan marvel of structure and craftsmanship, with elaborate statues of saints and angels, rather Italian or French now that Zachary thinks of it, compared with the practicality of English cathedrals. And yet, no design was ever without purpose in this building. Likely, Zach thinks, there are protective salts or magic lettering carved upon metal embedded in each of these statues. Zachary approaches the enormous doors, large enough, he might imagine, to fit a dragon. He has only ever seen these doors closed, and dreads what the implication of their opening may one day signify. Built into the doors are a smaller pair of doors, which stand open with a guard at each side. When Zachary first began his employment at the church, these guards would carry their weapons discreetly, but now, since the hunters had moved into the public imagination, they brandish their weapons openly. Zach has seen these two particular guards often, though he knows they switch out since the guards are always different when he leaves in the evening. One watches as Zachary approaches, the other keeps an eye out in case Zach were a decoy. The guard seems stern and perhaps a bit bored. As Zach gets closer, the one watching him dips his hand in a bowl of water built into the larger door beside him, and wordlessly pulls out a silver cross the size of a dagger and holds it out for Zachary to grasp.
Zachary takes his hand out and immediately grasps it, as per routine.
The guard then traces the shape of a cross onto Zachary's forehead using the hand he dipped into the bowl beside him. Seeing as Zachary has no reaction to the silver, the iconography, or the holy water, he is permitted entrance. Let me pause for a moment. I want you guys to know that no matter how bad things get, I have ways of getting you out.
I feel the same way, Luna. I feel the exact same way. That pause was not as reassuring as I think you had hoped it would be. Go on.
So I want you all to trust me. But that being said, tread very carefully.
Okay.
I'm
fuck.
thrilled.
No throwing bottles at people of authority here.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't get to start over
Okay.
in this one.
Jesus.
So,
Boy, made my high seas adventure kind of a bit of a jolly romp in comparison. Huh?
I'd like some A1 with these steaks, please.
all right. Zachary enters a vast cathedral, columns shooting up on either side of him, supporting a ceiling that nearly stretches to the heavens, or this is the intended illusion, at least. Sacred geometry and visions of angels circle around a vast ceiling. He passes under the pipe organ, silent for now, but the memory of whose vibrations seem embedded in the layers of stone. He walks the nave, his feet clacking and echoing across the polished floors, and passes the transepts. The stained glass in the northern transept to his left contain two saints, Luke, pictured with a bull and the word Alpha beneath him, and John, pictured with a lion with the word Leon beneath him. Zachary only knows that these are Luke and John because their names are written above them. Like the letters below, they sprawl across like an opened scroll or ribbon. In the southern transept to his right, St. Mark is pictured with an eagle, the word Phone written below him, and, strangely, St. Matthew is pictured alone with the word Aner. Zachary doesn't know what Matthew did to deserve no animal friend, but whatever it was, he has little interest. Aside from providing a home for these stained glass saints, the northern transept also includes a little storage room for herbs, and an entrance to the cloister. This area was originally for monks and contemplation, but now it serves as a garden for herbs, including garlic, wolfsbane, lavender, rosemary, spikenard root, frankincense, myrrh, and other useful plants. Church staff are permitted to take their meals in the garden during breaks, and this is welcome, as the cloister still serves as a reverent place, and conversation is not entirely encouraged. Not that it isn't allowed, but the serenity of the garden seems to cultivate an air of silence and respect. When Zachary does not wish to interact with anyone, the cloister provides a welcome escape, and, most valuably, a kiss of sunlight. Almost in opposition, the southern transept contains a door into the cleansing chapel, an emergency stop for hunters who have recently come into the presence of demons or evil spirits. Exorcisms are sometimes conducted here, if need be. Zachary remembers one evening when he was leaving for the day, the screams of torment, clerics rushing across the hall with herbs, and the strange, unrecognizable words in no human voice, as thick upon the air as the stench of frankincense. Zach can smell the same odor wafting from the chapel even now, and shudders at the memory. He passes deeper in, arriving at the presbytery, surrounded by where the choir normally is, though the boxes are empty now. Passing this, there are 2 ornate thrones. The king's seat is to the left and the bishop's to the right. Behind that, the high altar, and behind that, the imposing stained glass portrait of the archangel Michael. He hovers gracefully, with soft, feathery wings and a lithe form, his face painted on the glass with elegance and serenity. In his hands a holy spear, and at the end of that spear, absolute horror. The face of his comrade Lucifer is twisted in searing agony as he and his fellow usurpers twist and writhe at the end of Michael's weapon, falling deeper into darkness and shadow. There are many demonic shapes Zachary does not recognize. Perhaps the head of a goat, a dark snake or worm, twisted limbs, snapped bones, or perhaps this is a trick of the light. The wild, virile colors of the bottom half of the glass scene are in stark contrast to the light and gentleness portrayed in the archangel at the top, almost as if Michael were unaware of the pain he was causing, or perhaps believed it to be just. Directly beneath Michael rests a circular tomb with carvings of various past hunters, martyrs, and saints. Zachary knows that there are holy relics inside this tomb, probably including somebody's wrist and another person's tongue and other such embalmed body parts. A great amount of incense is burned constantly above this reliquary, Michael's fierce rays of divided colors sliding off the shoulders of dancing smoke like lazy serpents. Zachary tries never to reveal the strain these smokes place on his throat, so he is used to holding his breath until entering one of the 2 rooms to the side. There's also an intense amount of energy that Zachary can feel from this reliquary. There are 2 doors on either side of the altar that lead to the first level underground, and Zach can go through either. The man to the right is an ordinary hunter, Sir Killinger, who is genial with Zachary. He is also an American transfer, and prefers that Zachary refer to him by his first name, Bernard. The man to the left, Sir Windsor, is a manus, a hunter who specializes in the magic of the church, passed down from early Christian practices and drawing power from the Christian God. The mutterings of angels and archons are on the lips of these magic users, and they wield their powers against demons, witches who draw power from the self, and white witches. No white witch is ever without her manus. The manus serve as their caretakers, guardians, prison wardens. At least one of the hunters accompanying the white witch on the HMS Halberd must have been a manus. Their identities are kept secret from the public, and even from many co-workers. Being that it was a seance, it is most likely that both hunters were manus. It is these specialists who capture and brainwash witches who draw power from the self, converting them into slaves of the church and unwilling traitors to their own kind. The magic they perform is powerful and manipulative, engaging in acts of hypnosis and various forms of torture. Being that they are also hunters, the manus are highly skilled in physical combat and brutal tactics. The only reason Zachary knows the man on the left is a manus is because he can sense powerful magic radiating off of him. And, he was sure, Sir Windsor sensed it in him and has been eager to confirm this since their last meeting. Which side do you go through?
The Bernard one. Can I go through the non-accusatory man, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So Zachary is holding his breath, and he makes his way to the right door, next to the reliquary behind the high altar.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he goes through. It's a small room. It's pretty much just kind of like a way station between the main cathedral and the spiral staircase that leads down to the first underground level.
Did he pass him already?
No, you get to have an interaction with him, my dear. So you see this built man. He's got a lot of muscle, but like a little soft too. Mm. And he's got short red hair, freckles everywhere. He's got that kind of American swagger way of like holding himself. He's fully decked in hunter attire, just in case somebody made it through and was able to like pass the reliquary and all this energy and was about to invade the underground. He's there as a form of defense. That's why Manus is there as well.
Mm.
He sees you, he recognizes you, and he smiles. One side of his smile, kind of like crooked smile, Thomas O'Malley kind of thing. And he sees you and he says, "Hey, Mr. Wilkos."
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Killinger.
"Hey, that's Sir Killinger to you."
Sir Killinger.
I'm just kidding. He puts out a hand, expecting your ID.
He's already has it out as he was walking up.
Pretty automatic
Yeah.
gesture. Does this every day.
He gives it to him and he says, "You change it up on me every single day, you know."
Oh, do I?
Yesterday you said call me Mister.
Oh, did I? I don't remember that. He looks over the ID, turns it to the back. He sees that the stamp has gone through both sides, and he gives it back to him. "All right, get out of here." He kind of tosses his head over his shoulder, playfully.
He gives a little short breath through his nose that indicates that he's humored by it, but continues on and tries to really hard ignore the hammering in his chest and continue to try and act as casual as possible because despite everything, he finds this man particularly attractive.
Oh my god.
And he knows it's just one of those fancying things. It'll go away, and maybe it's just the stress of working in an environment that is so hostile that his brain is trying to come up with something, nice for himself. So he just sort of swallows his weird affections and continues on to work.
I think it's safe to say that Bernard is the only hunter who has ever been playful with Zachary.
Yeah, that makes sense. That would make immediate sense as to why Zachary is a little attracted to him then.
And he sees him every day.
Oh, yeah.
Because I assume he never goes through the left side. Did it once, never again.
Why go to the mean one when you can go to the slightly more playful guy and have maybe an okay start to your day?
Okay, cake or death?
Yeah, seriously.
Zachary goes past him, and he descends a dark, spiraling staircase about 2 stories tall. So it's quite a bit of time by himself.
Mm-hmm.
The stone walls and sparse lighting communicate clearly that he has entered the underground, a damp, confusingly built place whose inhabitants pretend on a daily basis that working below the ground in stale air, inconsistent lighting, and frigid temperatures is normal. The floor spreads out 50 feet on its greatest diameter in the shape of a strange, sagging hexagon with 2 meeting rooms to the left and a staircase down to the common library and 1 storage room to the right and stairs down to the accounting/admin offices. Did Zachary come to work early or is he on time?
He's on time.
Okay. He doesn't have time to visit the common library. He's going to go to the accounting office.
Yeah, I think for today he gets really nervous about the idea with how strict this place very clearly is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trained himself not to act weird or to always double think if he's going to do something different that day. His routines and the way he is always a safety measure. Mm-hmm. So there is no doing anything different today, especially with the biggest difference being he's going to be showing around a banker.
Mm-hmm.
So he wants to keep everything else looking as non-suspect as possible.
So he makes his way down a straight, stony staircase, the light interspersed infrequently along its length, allowing many patches of dark shadow. So now we're on layer 2. The accounting/administrative affairs are in this big rectangle. At the other end of the room is a closed, locked door that has rows and rows of records of this place. Then there's this weird skinny hallway that's in a door next to the door that Zachary just came out of from the staircase. And he can walk down that, and then on the right, there is a circular room that is the common library, and it's got a pillar right in the center. And then if he were to walk farther down that hallway, as he often does, for lunch, at the very end of the hallway to the right is a staircase leading down to the 3rd level, which is where he takes lunch. So he comes in, there's rows and rows of cubicles, desks. There is a moistness from being underground. It's really cold down here, so Zachary probably plans for that and always probably keeps a warm coat at his desk.
Yeah.
He's got his specific desk where he works, and nobody suspects anything. Everything's going normally. He sees his boss walking by who nods at him, happy that he's shown up, and passes him and goes where they need to go. And he sits down, and he's already got papers in his inbox, and he's ready to process. We'll leave him at his boring job, and we will go to Liam. 15 minutes has passed. It is time for Liam to head to the church.
Rock and roll. Is there a main entrance? Presumably Liam is not entering through this little cafe, because that is unbeknownst to him. Did Zachary tell him where the main entrance was?
There's these huge metal gates that Liam is very familiar with. He passes them often on the street, and they have a bunch of weird decorations in them. And these are the gates that are open for services.
Okay.
But not today. But there's usually guards there who he can probably talk to.
Okay.
Can you get Fergus to give you a lift there? You can summon him.
Liam is going to summon a normal cab. He does not feel comfortable bringing an angel to his beck and call. In fact, he'd be...
Shy boy.
Yeah.
Especially after doing magic.
Yeah, no, he's much more comfortable just hailing a normal cab. He's not bringing the magical items with him.
Okay. Just reconnaissance for now.
Yeah, just reconnaissance.
Okay. He takes the cab and it drops him off. He merely has to say, the church. Oh, that one? Yes, that one.
Yeah.
The largest church, the largest cathedral in England, in London. Liam is dropped off right in front of these gates.
Nice. He has a walking stick with him. And he's wearing his gloves. He's got his whole top hat on, all this sort of stuff.
So he looks like a very refined gentleman. There are guards on the other end of the gates, on the inside, but he is able to hail them and talk to them if he wishes.
I say, gentlemen.
They both kind of look over. One of them's closer to you, and the one who was not closer to you looks at you, but then, looks away, still doing his job. And the one closer to you comes over and can be face to face with you.
Good morning. I'm here on business. May I enter?
What business is that, sir?
I am here as a representative of Bardsley Bank, and I have a meeting with one Zachary Wilkos from accounting.
Oh. Well, do you have your slip? The appointment slip?
Looks over. Okay.
Don't look at me, I didn't know
no.
we needed this.
Yeah. Question. Is this anything that Zachary mentioned?
Would he have known?
Would Zachary have known this?
Has Zachary ever taken on this kind of
Thing
before?
Man. I don't suppose he's ever had a visitor.
Okay, that's all right. I can work with this.
All right.
I can work with this. I just had to... My long silence was just to establish, do I have a slip? Is this something we failed to mention? So,
No,
Liam...
you do not.
Okay. Liam wouldn't hesitate, though. He wouldn't take the long pause. He'd be like, slip? What are you talking about? Stop wasting my time. I'm here on business. My time is very important.
The guard/hunter seems a little annoyed at that and says, well, if you don't have an appointment, I can create you one.
Well, I suppose you have your rules, as does every business. How long would creating an appointment take?
Well, I can check with our chief administrator and see if he has anything available today.
I was told to ask for Mr. Wilkos. I have his business card here.
Does Liam present
Yes.
the business card?
Does this work? Is this the slip that you're after?
The guard takes it, looks it over. It is an official business card. And then they hand it back and they say, we will check with the chief administrator.
Very well. The weather's not too horrible today in any case. Liam smiles and is like, is there a waiting room?
Yes, the office 2 doors down. It says Wesley's on it.
Very well, thank you for your help.
Yes, good day, sir.
Liam tips his hat.
Does Liam go to the office?
Yeah.
Liam enters, and it's a very small office. There's a clerk, and he smiles at you. Hello, do you have an appointment?
Hello, yes, I had arranged to meet with one Zachary Wilkos in accounting, but apparently there needs to be some sort of confirmation made to make sure that an appointment is available. I am Liam Bardsley. I am representing Bardsley Bank. And Liam smiles.
Oh, Bardsley Bank. Oh, are you, may I ask, are you an investor?
That remains to be seen.
I see. Yes, have a seat. I'll Mr. Bardsley. Help yourself to some refreshments. Yes, give me a moment.
Liam smiles a little bit more in spite of himself. Thank you very much.
Yes, the clerk is very aware of Bardsley Bank and definitely kissing up. So the clerk disappears for a moment and comes back and smiles at you and points to the refreshments again. And then you are waiting for a time. You hear the door to the back open and some plump man who's clearly not a hunter of any kind, but seems sharp-witted, comes to you and says, Mr. Bardsley, I presume.
The one and only. How are you today?
I am well. I'm Mr. Wesley. I am the chief administrator for the Holy Church of the Eternal Knighthood. Would you please come with me?
Certainly.
And Liam is led into a room within that same building.
Mm-hmm.
A little meeting room. It's nice. And the man sits at his desk and says, "Please have a seat."
Liam takes off his cap and takes a seat.
Right. Oops, I forgot, like, they might have taken his coat or something, but anyway, whatever. They were hospitable to you.
Yes.
You've taken a seat. The man seats himself and he says, "So you're here representing Bardsley Bank?"
Yes, that is the case. I've got some interest, I as in the bank, in making some investments in the near future. And this new establishment of yours seems to be a promising option. I was hoping today to have a tour of the place, to learn a little bit more about it, perhaps, before I make any final decisions on behalf of the bank. But if we were to make an investment, Liam taps the side of his nose, it would not be ungenerous.
I see. The man is already lit up with the prospect of the investment, especially from the esteemed Bardsley Bank. He says, "Oh, I see. Unfortunately, we cannot get you a tour today, but we can 2 days from now."
Liam leans back in the chair and takes a deep breath. I'm afraid I might be otherwise preoccupied 2 days from now. This might seem a little bit mercenary on my behalf, and I hope you will forgive me for such uncouth talk, but this is the world of finance. But the church is not the only candidate for Bardsley Bank's investments, and you needn't put yourselves out too terribly much. I have made an acquaintance already. One of the accountants gave me his card, and if you could just call up this young gentleman, you wouldn't have to put yourselves out too much in terms of informing me about the situation here. But if that just simply can't be done, then I might have to look elsewhere. Forgive me. I know that this is just absolutely mercenary, but my father, he's the one who's wanting an answer right away, and that's how the cookie crumbles. I lost it. That's how the cookie crumbles, baby.
Could you give me a D20 roll and add your persuasion?
All right.
Holy shit. Here we go, gamers.
Come on, dice.
Come on, Liam's rolls. Come on, Liam.
My baby boy.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so I got a 19 and then a +3 from my persuasion.
Thank you,
yes.
God. Thank you.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Luna knows we're
So,
excited.
Mr. Wesley, you've got him sweating. He shifts uncomfortably and he says, I see. Well, he folds his hands and he leans on his desk and he says, and he seems to be thinking very quickly. Yes, I see. Well, let me see what I can do. You wish to come in today?
Yes. If at all possible, that would be ideal. And thank you so much. I know that this is rather a last-minute request here, especially on your part. I was told that you would be informed. I'm sure there was just some sort of mistake somewhere along the way, but I do appreciate you being accommodating.
Yes, of course. Anything for our investors. Give me a moment, would you?
Absolutely.
And he gets up and he kind of hurries out. You hear him talking to somebody. There's a little bit of rushed talking, perhaps they don't like what they're hearing, but he's insistent. And then you hear them leave. And then he comes back into the office and he says, Mr. Bardsley, I am happy to say that we can accommodate you today and you are able to tour our facilities.
That's wonderful news. Thank you so very much, sir. That is just very generous of you. Thank you very much. Whenever I looked at you, I could tell that you are a man who got things done. And
thank you very much.
My beliefs have been confirmed. So I
appreciate that. Thank you.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Will I be able to take this tour from the Mr. Wilkos that I had met before?
He kind of gets this look of oh shit on his eyes and he says, I'm sure that can be arranged.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Of course. My pleasure.
You're a stellar fellow. And he shakes his hand again.
Shake their hands. Excellent job, Liam.
Oh, God, the world of business. Oh, he was so the right person. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
Before long, Liam is escorted by a different person through the greenery of the church grounds. He sees an orchard, he sees a cemetery, he sees a beautiful bell tower, and the majesty of this cathedral. And he is taken in The guards, of course, have to give you the silver cross and paint the holy water cross on Liam's head. He's not carrying any magical items. He is not part demon.
Yeah.
No reaction. He gets through, and he passes through this beautiful but intimidating cathedral, and he's taken down the left side this time. But Sir Windsor, this harsh-looking man, senses nothing on Liam and does not react. And in fact, when he hears that he's an investor, kind of smiles at him a little bit more, which makes his scar stand out a little bit. And Liam still doesn't really like the energy he feels from this person. And he's led down the staircase. And the messenger tells you, these first few levels are still being renovated every day. He seems a bit self-conscious of the moistness and the cave-like quality of these underground passages. And he takes you down the stairs to the accounting offices. And then he says, wait here a moment. So then we reconnect with Zachary. Zachary's working. He's processed some paychecks, probably sweating while sitting, kind of knowing what's happening today. And then suddenly someone appears right at his desk, quite silently, quite stealthily.
He looks up. Giving me a heart attack.
My apologies, Mr. Wilkos, but there is a bank investor from Bardsley Bank who is here to be shown a tour of the facilities.
Bardsley Bank?
Yes.
A representative?
Yes. He said that he had connected with you for a tour.
Goodness, I didn't think he'd show. He starts putting things away. Yes, I'd be more than happy to show him around.
Excellent. The man leaves unceremoniously.
Puts his everything away, gives himself a little pat on the back for sounding so natural.
The man passes Liam and says, he's on his way. Thank you again for considering us.
Of course. Thank you.
Gets up and he goes to Liam and he says, Mr. Bardsley, it's good to see you again.
Ah, Mr. Wilkos, I'm so happy you're available. Shall we have our tour?
Yes, there's much to show you.
All right, you guys are on the second floor. Let me remember what your plan was. You guys wanted to not only locate the angels, but locate a passage out that possibly porters would use to ferry bodies to the surface.
And also possibly where there would be some uniforms for porters. Anything that we can pick up to assist with Daniel and Adrian being able to use their mimicry spells. And also find out who is the one who would have the keys / the access to the dungeon. So that's our goals.
Right. So Zachary only has access to floors 1, 2, and 3 underground. So you guys are looking to get deeper. So there is a door to a staircase on the 3rd floor that leads to the 4th level.
So we're up here.
But you guys don't have that key. Yes, you guys are in the accounting offices.
We can go down to the 3rd level.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Is Zach gonna show Liam the library at all? I guess if we're keeping up appearances of a tour, that would probably be good.
He does, yeah. He first informs him of the accounting offices. He also wants to be seen doing his job. So the accounting offices, he sort of opens the door, steps aside, shows Mr. Bardsley. And it's the way he's acting towards Liam is incredibly disconnected, but not impolite. Just as you would if you had never seen this person really before, except maybe once. And he makes sure that he is seen, giving Liam a tour.
And Liam asks questions as well, like, I hope you have a means of keeping your records dry in this environment. I'm seeing a little bit of moisture in these lower levels.
I do apologize for the humidity. Yes, we do have ways of making sure that everything that goes into accounting is kept dry.
Neat and orderly.
Neat and orderly as always. Every paycheck is delivered on time, every investment processed, and every T crossed and every I dotted.
Very well. Liam smiles. Shall we continue?
Next, I'd like to show you the library, he says, and he leads him out, and he does lead him to the common library.
Common library is this circular room with a pillar in the center, and then some stairs up to the 1st level. There are circular, rows of books, kind of like the spikes on a wheel, and it's a very attractive little circular room. The ceiling is painted with an original by some artist. Not as beautiful as the paintings on the roof of the cathedral, but still beautiful and heavenly. There's images of angels and things like that. And of course, Jesus Christ. In case you forgot, you're in a religious institution. Now you guys are in the library. You can peruse through whatever you want.
Is anybody around? Can I roll for perception of
Sure, roll for perception. Add your wisdom. Goodness.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, anyway.
Nice roll.
Thank you.
Okay, well, with a hawk's eye, You see one librarian.
Okay.
A very old, bent man.
A very old bent man.
Yes. Who
Whip
has
your head
probably been
around.
here for 100 years.
Just whip your head around. Gazer beam in on this guy.
Oh my god.
He seems extremely harmless.
He kind of leads Liam a little further in and away and out of the sight of this man. As he was leading him, he was talking about the library. It's what history of it he knows and what is cataloged here, until he turns on Liam and he looks at him again, addressing him like he knows him, and he goes, "Did you have any trouble getting in?"
None at all. Well, they did mention a slip, but I was able to talk my way around it fairly well. But for the future, you might ask about slips for meetings. Not that,
As if he's ever going to be working here again.
Yes,
Yeah.
Zachary's not 100% sure about his future, but he does give a quick nod and go, "Right, I'll think about it." I think what's best is we head downstairs as quickly as possible and we get a view of many of the people around. There isn't going to be too terribly many hunters in the dining area, but that's probably for the best.
All right. Well, how are we going to figure out who has the key?
That's a really good question, and not one I really thought about.
Well,
But
I'll
you
ask
saw-
some questions.
Yes, well, if you can schmooze with other people, that would perhaps be for the best.
It is around 8:24 a.m.
Early.
Yeah, Zach works 8 to 12, then he has an hour lunch break, and then he works 1 to 5.
I should have done this later. That's fine.
So the stairway to the 3rd floor is at the very end of this long, kind of narrow hallway to the right.
Yeah, they go down it.
They walk, and every time Zachary approaches this wall, he feels like a weird, powerful energy.
He does?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Why?
he doesn't know.
Okay.
And then they turn right and they go down.
This
those stairs.
fucking wall.
Stops. Looks at Liam. "I hate this wall." And then keeps going. And Liam's allowed to process that however.
Leaves just like, okay. I hate this wall. Moving on.
Zachary, what is working in here done to you?
They make their way down a spiral staircase, and they're in another little hallway. The door down the hallway leads directly to the meal hall, which is largely empty for now. It's another kind of weird hexagon. All the angles in this building are not like the straight cross sign of like the cathedral. They're weird shapes, long hallways, long connections, very strangely built. So in the meal hall, it's very big. They can walk across it and then go to another hallway. And down this hallway, to the left, there is a locked staircase to the 4th level. And at the very end of this hallway, if you pass that, there is the larger circular expertise library, which Zachary has access to, but he has to get special permission, like a written slip from somebody of higher authority to check anything out of this library. The common library, obviously, he can borrow anything. Also down this hallway to the right, there is a doorway that is not locked, but it connects to a longer hallway with a bunch of meeting rooms that Zachary understands are primarily used for hunters. Then at the end of this hallway, there's a weird door that Zachary does not know the function of.
That's fascinating.
Does Zach have access to the hunter meeting rooms?
Yes.
Okay.
They are also practice rooms, so sometimes he hears some sparring in there.
Or singing.
Or singing. Yeah. Practicing their opera.
Yeah.
Their hymns and their psalms.
Somebody get a guitar out. Anyway. here's Wonderwall.
Anyway, Wonderwall. There is also, in the meal hall, if you don't go down the hallway to the left, there is a prep kitchen, and it includes an elevator to above ground. Because the real kitchen is up on the above ground level. They cook things, and then they take them into the elevator and take them down to the 3rd level, and then plate them in the prep kitchen, and then send them out.
Would you say this little elevator could fit roughly 3 human-sized bundles?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, Daniel and Adrian have to dress up as cooks.
That's not a bad idea.
Adrian knows nothing about cooking.
Fantastic.
Daniel cooks very well. So they walk through, and they're in the meal hall, this strange large hexagon with lots of tables, lots of benches. Kind of like a beer garden kind of thing, or a cafeteria sort of thing. There are a few people here, but not as many as there will be for lunch. Nothing of too great interest here, you think. But I want each of you to give me a d20 roll.
Okay.
Add your wisdom.
Whew, this 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
Okay. Zachary is seeing with his special eyes.
I got a, what is that? That's going to be 14.
Okay.
And on our scale, that's a moderate success.
Okay. And Zachary blew it out of the water. So what Zachary sees with his special eyes, he sees a woman sitting at a table, and she appears to be writing something down, and she sits kind of unladylike and stuffs a piece of bread in her mouth while she's writing. And there's something strangely familiar about her face. She's got blonde hair up in a bun. When she gets up and she's finished stuffing the bread in her face and she takes her writing with her, Zachary sees her profile and recognizes immediately that this was the person who was dressed like a jester at the card table at the Grand Grimoire.
Oh my god.
He sees them leave out the door to the other hallway that Zachary and Liam did not come from.
Oh my god. Liked what you heard? Let us know by using hashtag #DandiesInDanger over on our Twitter, Insta, Tumblr, and TikTok in the listed links below. We'd love to hear any and all comments, questions, and theories as to where the story might be headed. Want to support us and our lads' adventures more directly? Then please consider clicking on the link and becoming a patron today. For just $1, you can gain access to our longer, uncensored outtakes and blooper reels. For $5, you can have access to exclusive stickers, in-world letters written by and for the lads, poetry by Adrian and Daniel, and original music from the show composed and scored by Chess Albanese. Can't afford to support directly? No problem. Podcasts survive by word of mouth, so if you like what you heard, tell your friends, family, and local graveyard ghosts all about these exciting tales. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Dandies in Danger is written and voiced by Elijah Bergateres as Zachary Wilkos, Cass as Liam Bardsley, Chess Albanese as Daniel Pritchard, and Toast as Adrian Edwards. It is edited by Toast. Original score and music composed by Chess Albanese. It is produced by Dandies team, and made possible by listeners like you.